Hi there guys, Darryl Griffiths here for Jumpcut Online. I hope you're all very well. As you may find, I'm in a hotel room currently, covering the Glasgow Film Festival for the website. It is my second stint here. I came back yesterday, another 4-hour jaunt from Birmingham, but it has been so worth it over the last fortnight. It has been such a personable and downright lovely festival to be a part of. A mere small part, admittedly. The film's a bit of a high calibre, which is all you can ask for at these kinds of events. In tonight's case, I've not long come back from the gala of 8th Grade, the directorial debut of Mr. Bo Burnham. I am a huge fan of this man. He is fantastic. His stand-up comedy that is very much available on Netflix currently. If you haven't seen him in action, he is a refreshing tonic from all the unimaginative dross that I think a lot of comedy acts are, personally, at the moment. The way he plays with music and lighting, and the way he toys with audiences' expectations in terms of a comedy show, he's just brilliant to see at work. So the way it would translate to the big screen, I was utterly intrigued by, inevitably. So 8th Grade, it's a coming-of-age tale. It stars Elsie Fisher as Kayla. She is in the dying embers of 8th Grade, and she's going through a lot of stuff at that point. She is developing a crush on one of her classmates. She's doing vlogs and trying to build up her self-esteem and her confidence because in reality she feels invisible. The popular kids just... there's nothing. They don't really acknowledge her in any shape or form. And the film pretty much follows the gradual progression and the struggles that she has across this an hour and a half that we are in the company of her. And the relationship with her dad as well, who... it's a classic case of parents trying to, you know, pour this whole idea of, oh, we will love you even if you weren't your parent or our parents, so to speak. And the way they interact is fascinating in a world where, you know, we are bombarded by the likes of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all the rest of it. And coming from a guy who, you know, when I was 13, 14, we were dealing with the likes of MSN Messenger, with the classic case of What's Your Addy and Bebo, Spread the Love, and MySpace and all that kind of thing. I mean, Facebook didn't really come into my thought process until we were like first year of university. So it's quite the stark contrast in terms of how far we've come, considering I'm 29 and, you know, in the world we are now. The film is... I mean, coming-of-age tales inevitably are going to speak to people on a level... like, for me, my personal favourites are the likes of The Breakfast Club and The Perks of Being a Wallflower, in how it deals with that social status or, you know, that ladder within the school confines. And for me, it really did capture the excruciating, you know, butterflies in the stomach kind of vibe that you have in social situations, which thankfully as I've got older, it's, you know, thankfully it's not as bad, but in that time the smallest things that for most people would seem microscopic in terms of, you know, overcoming as an obstacle, for me it would be like torture just to try and interact with somebody or, you know, push myself into a social situation. And I think Elsie Fisher, who is an absolute wonder in this film, she is utterly fantastic. And I think because the trajectory, especially women in coming-of-age films, I think they, you know, they have their own insecurities and, you know, the whole popularity aspect of it. And we sort of doll them up and that's sort of the way they, you know, find a resolution in it. And this, it's not necessarily the case. The progression is gradual, but it's really authentic, so it's not like a complete 180 of the character, which I think utterly refreshing. And just the gradual building of confidence, it's such a joy to see her slowly come alive in their face or facial expressions, and it's just a wondrous performance. And to carry, you know, predominantly just on her shoulders, despite great support from her dad, played by Josh Hamilton, because there is one beautiful moment between the two, which I won't spoil, but let's say is the sort of burning things and trying to banish a lot of the past, but I won't say any more than that, because you know, it is a beautiful moment shared between the two. And I just think, I mean, for me on a personal level, 8th grade, I think the best example I could give is in terms of recent times. It might shock my jump cut guys, but I'm going to say it anyway, because I think in the film, there's a sequence where Kayla is about to meet somebody who is in high school, and she's sort of assigned to her in that classic, you know, like first week kind of, you know, vibes, and sort of trying to navigate her way and acclimatise to that scenario. And they go out together, and the way Burnham pans around this shopping mall, and the anxiety that you feel in these cases, it really spoke to me at a meet-up that the Jumpcut guys and myself all had at the end of January. And, you know, I've had my own, you know, anxieties and panic attacks and that kind of thing, and thankfully it's not as bad as it used to be. But at the time, because of the nature of the day, which was for personal reasons, it was a really tricky day, and I travelled down to London. We were all meant to meet at Picture House Central, which is a beautiful cinema venue, and I arrived quite early, and I was in the middle tables of the upstairs bar, and they were all, at least I thought they were, there was like a couple of people on the far corner which I didn't recognise, because obviously it's such a big group, you know, a Jumpcut team, and as the time went by, I started to recognise a few people, and they all sort of slowly built up in the corner, and I was sort of in the middle, and I recognised people, but I didn't have the guts to go over to them, which is quite a big thing to admit. And I left the venue for about an hour or so, obviously knowing they were there, and I just had a really bad anxiety moment, and I was walking around Leicester Square on my own, and it took me a good hour or so, and thankfully a message from one of the team members to sort of prompt me and, you know, snap me out of it in terms of meeting them, and thankfully the rest of the day went really well. But that's me as a 29-year-old man. The film, I mean, in an era now where I think everything is so amplified in how we come across on social media, and we're almost reluctant to be vulnerable in any stretch of the imagination. And the film and what Burnham's achieved here is absolutely, you know, it's outstanding. I genuinely can't fault the film, to be quite honest. There's wonderful moments in terms of discovering their sexuality. There's a banana scene which absolutely made me cry laugh really badly. And just the way you come to terms with little things as you grow up, and you have to. And you know, I think there has to be an element of being scared and pushing the boundary of what you think you can personally do. And I think that's why Elsie Fisher's performance is so relatable and authentic and raw. And I could rave on about the film, really. I think what Burnham has achieved with Elsie in this film, 8th grade, is fantastic. For me, it's probably the film of the festival, for sure. It's an instant classic for me in terms of the coming of age genre, if you like. I think it is just a wonderful, wonderful film. I think it's going to strike a chord with a lot of people in this, you know, technologically advanced world, and, you know, bombarded with social media and all the rest of it. And I really hope it finds an audience when it's released in April, finally, in the UK, I believe. And just on a personal level, Bo Burnham, I salute you, sir, because you've always been quite open about your own anxiety, and it comes across in the film through Kayla, and it's very believable, it's vulnerable, it's just a masterclass for me, and I can't really stress that enough. I think it is a wonderful, wonderful film, and I'm going to shut up now. But that is my review of 8th grade. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I haven't waffled too much, and I hope you didn't mind me indulging a little bit in terms of my own personal relation to it and how it like me doing vlogs and doing video reviews like this is my comfort, and that's why I think Kayla's character again is so relatable, because this, in my own space, no one watching, just me putting myself out there and, you know, being expressive in a way that feels natural to me and emotionally cathartic to me. It's, you know, it's a wonderful medium to have if socially you're not necessarily the best, which I'll happily admit I'm not really. But yeah, I'll shut up now. I've said it twice now. I am really going to shut up now. But I've been Darryl Griffiths. Be sure to check out Jumpcut Online. Follow us on Twitter. Like our Facebook page. And, of course, the website itself, www.jumpcutonline.co.uk. I've been Darryl Griffiths. They'll be sure to see more from myself. I'll be doing a couple more video reviews. Under the Silver Lake and Ray and Liz, which are the other two films I've seen today. I'll be putting those out as soon as possible. But for now, take care, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed. See you later.